Hey, BassGeek here. I love an underspin this time of year, but I love a spinnerbait too. So what would happen if they came together and made babies? Well, I'm about to show you. That's right, geeks. You guys know that I love, and I have loved to throw underspins forever, especially for these open water bass. Well, I seen on Debo's channel a little while back that he's been throwing this little thing called a top spin. And I thought, well, what sizes do they make in that? Well, what colors do they make in that? And I went out and got some. Let me tell you what I've learned about the top spin from first gen. Hey, that rhymed. So one of the things that I love about throwing an underspin is how finessey it is and how it really kind of keeps the flash down but still has a thump to it. And this top spin kind of does the same thing. Now you get a little more flash on top because the blade's on top, but it's a small blade and it's a little more weedless than an underspin because of the titanium wire. This is something that I love. Now I've been fishing a lot in open water, but it's also great, as I'll show you in a few minutes, around some cover and around some grass. So it comes through grass real easy. It's not something that, you guys know is my forte, but that's what Debo tells me. So now let me show you how I rig this thing, and let me show you one of my favorite baits to put on it. Okay, forgive all the stuff laying in the bottom of my boat, guys. Now, this is the top spin by First Gen. Look at this thing. What's great about it, it's got a titanium wire. It's got a finesse little blade, so it's the same size that you would see on a underspin, right? This is one of my favorite sizes. It is, of course, a 1/4 ounce. I like a 1/4 ounce even in shallower water because you've got a blade, and once you put plastic on here, you're going to get a little bit of lift. So even a 1/4 ounce is going to stay down a little bit better for you. What I've been fishing it with, especially in open water, is this. This is the Demiki Armor Shad. This is the 5-inch. So it really is this simple. What I love about these is they are split belly. You can put swim baits on them. You can pretty much put whatever you want. But on these, it's pretty simple. You just come straight down, right out the back side of the head. I go ahead and I push it up on here. Go ahead and spin it over, put this in. But before I push it up on here, I'm gonna put me just a single drop of Avid Angler on there. I got my drop of Avid, I push it up there. Now roll it down the back so that I make sure that I'm gonna come out right where I want it, right dead center, right in the middle. And there we have it. I like this because this is subtle. It's a very subtle little blade, and I want to keep this bait very finessey. So I like a straight tail instead of some sort of paddle tail. But you got a lot of cover around you, you're not in open clear water, absolutely put a paddle tail on it. It's really going to help you get more bites if you're in that situation. Me, I'm in open clear water, and this is the way I'm going to rig it. So as always, guys, I'm going to tie the pitsine knot, or pitsine, I don't know. I still haven't figured out how to say what this knot is. You spin it around. Here, I'll show you the difference between this and a San Diego jam knot. Here is the pitsine. You come through the loop at the top, and the only difference between it and the San Diego jam is that you run it through the loop at the bottom. Also, you wet it and you tighten it down. So now I tied a San Diego jam knot. Bonus feature. And then, of course, you cut the tag in. Let me show you rod, reel, and line setup. All right, let's talk about rod, reel, and line that I'm going to set up for this top spin. This is my TFO Option Bass. It is a 7-foot medium fast. You can see right there, 1/4 to 3/4 ounce. So this baby's got a good backbone on it. But a TFO, love this color, man. Love this color. I do have it on a spinning rod because, again, I'm trying to keep everything very finessey here. And so I'm throwing it on 8-pound test line. That, of course, as always, is K9 fluoro. And you can see my pink braid in there, which is, I'm telling you, people, the best braid on the market. You really need to try the K9 braid. Smooth as silk. And then they have a flipping line that's not necessarily that smooth, that is made really to flip grass. This is just a good old loose speed spin. So let's get out there and let me show you a couple of retrieves and a couple of places that I think this bait shines. All right, so guys, you know, it's pretty much the same for me as fishing a underspin or a spinner bait. You know, the good thing about this is that titanium arm really gives it a little bit of hunting action because it's nice and flexible, right? So you get a little bit of hunting action out of it, but it's always good to impart a little extra action in your retrieve. Now you can do this with a bait caster, especially as they get bigger, but since I'm doing it a lot in open water, that's why I'm going with a spinning rod right now. If I was throwing it into this heavy cover up here, I would absolutely be using a bait casting rod. But first I want to show you, I've got some fish located right out here. They're in open water. We're going to make a few casts and I'm going to show you exactly kind of what the bait looks like underwater and pretty much what I do. So I'm just making a cast out there. Now for me, if you know you've got bass out there at a certain depth, you know, try fishing this at different depth levels. If you don't have forward facing sonar, count it down. Keep it above them. Sometimes putting it on the bottom and just dragging it real slowly works. You know, when I see them on the live scope, I'm gonna try and keep them above them 90% of the time. But the biggest thing for me is 90% of the time, I want a nice smooth cast. I want a nice smooth retrieve with these baits. I don't want it to be over erratic. That tends to be, at least in swim baits, when the bass turn off. And the other thing is keep your rod tip low to the water. When they hit it, what you want to do is side set, keep your rod tip down. That's going to keep them from jumping and get them in the boat. Now the great thing about this is it's kind of a swim bait head, so it's almost flat on the bottom. So when I'm throwing to cover, I like to be able to bump it, right? So I'm going to cast out here and I'm going to let this thing, if I'm running down a tree, I'm going to let it just barely come down the top of it, just a nice slow retrieve. And again, it's the same thing, side set. You want it ticking those treetops. You want to keep your rod tip down unless you're up super shallow. A lot of times when I first throw out there and I know I'm in shallow water, I keep my rod tip high so that I don't get it stuck. Now, I will tell you, for you guys that are fishing in open water, you're fishing for those bass that are out there chasing the shad, it is time to downsize. So this is a 5-inch. A lot of times what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to that 3-inch as we get into late summer and fall. That's going to get me a lot more bites. So make sure you go check out the first gen top spin. Like I said, my buddy Debo's been whacking them on this thing. It's just super finesse. I reckon it's pretty good in grass. You know, might want to go check with Debo on that, but that's what he says. I know it's pretty good in open water, out over the depths in clear water. So it just gives me a little something different to show them when it comes to an underspin or a top spin, and it's still super finessey. I really like this thing. As always, questions and comments in the comment section below. You guys know I love to talk about fishing with you. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell so you get those notifications when these videos come out. And as always, you geeks rock.